Whenever I'm called upon to preside at a funeral, the gospel that I always choose is the one we have just heard, or half of it. That wonderful saying of Jesus that in my Father's house there are many dwelling places, and I'm going to prepare a place for you and then come back and take you with me at the time of your death, is a very consoling message, especially for those who are bereaved by the loss of a loved one. But the rest of the gospel, as we heard this morning, the whole conversation with Jesus and the apostles after his resurrection, is important for us, even though we are not bereaved at the moment. Jesus says to them, "You see me, you see the Father." That's a very consoling statement for us. But it causes us to stop for a moment and ask ourselves, where do we see Jesus? If we are seeking the Father and looking to find him through Jesus, Jesus says, if you see me, you see the Father. Where do we see Jesus? I think many of us have places where we go or people that we are with, and we rejoice in their presence because they help us to be disciples of Jesus. Our local church community, people who share the faith with us, our friends and family who are close to us in the faith of Jesus. But elsewhere in the gospel, Jesus says that I am standing at the door and knocking for you to let me in. You know, many of us, perhaps speaking for myself, many of us look at people who lived in gated communities as sort of snobs, you know, trying to be a little better than the rest of us. But I think we all tend to create our own gated community where we feel safe and secure. And that's where we have to begin to ask ourselves, is Jesus knocking at the door of this enclosure which I have placed around myself to protect myself, to feel safe and secure? Where is the door that Jesus is knocking in my life? It could be somebody in my own family whom I refuse to get close to or forgive or care about because perhaps I'm afraid, perhaps I don't really like them on a human level. Where is our nation, which proposes to be a Christian nation, where is the door that Christ is knocking at for our country? Is it at our borders where starving, fearful people are fleeing for refuge? And are we opening that door to them? We have to be careful that we do not enclose ourselves individually or as a community against the knocking of Jesus. Jesus said, if you see me, you will see the Father. But the question remains, where do we see Jesus? Where is he knocking at the door of my life? And will I answer that knock?